friends are hard to find, but not good for us seem to drop out the
Put your feelings aside, give that wild side a try. I'm not that girl.
Sharon H rolling out my weekly dose of unapologetic candidness. Keep watching all the way till the end for my real raw take on signs your friends are making you depressed. Coping with emotionally draining friends. We all have rough days and we all need to know that we have someone in our corner to lean on, to vent to. Knowing that we have that tower of support can without question lower our stress levels. Having someone there to share our highs as well as our lows can make us feel a wonderful sense of comfort and belonging. Improve our coping mechanisms, which in turn would most probably lower our feelings of anxiety and depression. But all too often we feel like we're in a tug of war with our own needs and those of certain friends, especially if we are always there for them, but when it comes to our needs, they are seldom, if ever, reciprocal, and can trigger our own mind demons, which can lead to resentment, low self-esteem, and overthinking. We start to question why we ourselves do not matter, and our own woes and wins seem to always be diminished when we are around these people. You know, the kind of friends that seem to have all the time in the world to dump their shit in our lap. We seem to be running on borrowed time or nowhere to be found when we have problems or big news to share. Kinds that we support both online and off, cheer loudly for their wins, and are the first in line when they're having a bad day. But yet when we have something troubling us or something we are excited about, they do their best disappearing act. At the very least, they'll throw a like on our post and keep on scrolling. But they'll kiss every other man and their dog's ass all over social media, a bloody slap in the face to us in return. When the thought of spending time with them or communicating with them invokes anxious feelings of doom and gloom. We'd rather eat our own tongue than put ourselves through the arduous, mind-numbing task we know lay ahead. Can be fucking frustratingly exhausting. Give me a like if you agree. There's also the kinds that seem to find it completely acceptable to use us as the brunt of their jokes. They like to big themselves up by keeping us down. More times than not, this is due to their own insecurities, but this does not lessen the effect their behaviour has on us. We really have to ask ourselves, when others try to belittle us, tear us down, when we walk away feeling worse about ourselves than we did before we saw them, we have to ask ourselves, are these people even really our friends? Because if they have to feel better about themselves at our expense, if this is friendship, we don't need it. Of course, then we have the condescending, passive-aggressive that always leave us questioning whether they were insulting or complimenting us. Whilst we sometimes try to brush their behaviour off as perhaps we were the ones overthinking, I think on some level we always know when they're having a go. And we have those who make everything a pissing competition. Everything we have done, they or someone they know has done better. Doesn't matter how happy we are with something we've worked hard for or accomplished, they try to degrade it with comparison to someone else's accomplishments or their own. We, after a while, begin shutting down and not telling them anything because we can already hear the subtle teardowns. Their insensitivity makes us become withdrawn, let down, and feeling isolated. They try chipping away at our confidence little by little, belittling our ambitions, whether directly or indirectly, but making sure we know it was meant for us. We feel it right through our soul. That depressed, unhappy, agitated, even furious feeling after every interaction. They will typically gaslight us or call us sensitive if we even try to address the situation with them. Giving these kind of friendships a wide berth is often imperative to our state of mind, especially when the penny drops which friends only contact us, acknowledge us when they want something or it's beneficial to them. The very same people that assume that it is our duty to sacrifice our own needs to be there as a sounding board for their troubles. We tend to either consciously or unconsciously begin to practice avoidance. Set up personal boundaries by establishing some sort of emotional distance. It becomes very tiring when we share anything with them and they habitually turn it back to them, downplay it, or belittle it. We begin to become someone we are not when we are around them. Otherwise, they will strip away everything good we believe about ourselves or hopes we have for ourselves. Someone that every time we talk makes it about them or we can see them chomping at the bit, waiting for us to finish so they can talk about themselves again. Their dramas will be whizzing around our brains continuously. We can't rid ourselves of others' dramatics if we're going to give them free rent space in our head. We must learn to not rely on our friends to give us validation or support, because fact is, most won't. Good friends are hard to find, but not good for us seem to drop out the fucking sky. Give me a booyah if you agree. Which often leaves us experiencing anxiety, suffering from fatigue, frustration after spending any semblance of time with them. Their muchness can be too bloody much. More time is spent shouldering their needs and paying heed to our own well-being. The way we view them changes over time because we start to associate them with feelings of unease and that need to escape. When they have toxic traits that are always thrown into the mix. When they hold on to grudges and go on and on and on about they who have supposedly wronged them. Long after most would deem far too long, their toxicity begins to permeate beneath our own skin, making us feel sick and stressed and harboring resentment and silent yous. Desperate for an out, but we find ourselves being entrapped in their venomous behavior. When we are around those, we need to filter out every thought, need, and emotion. When they don't take a breath long enough to hear a word we say. Least of all, be a reciprocating shoulder when we've had a bitch of a day. It's exhausting always trying to counsel another, forever pouring from our own cup into theirs. Eventually we will become completely, utterly depleted. Don't get me wrong, being there for others, a shoulder to lean on and an entrusted ear can be very rewarding and make us feel good thinking we did good for them. But when our giving, empathetic nature is a given to them and never seems appreciated but rather seems expected, eventually got to take its toll on our own state of mind and depression level. Especially when we no longer enjoy spending time with them, but rather dread the very sight of them and seeing their name pop up in our message notification. Because we know it's going to cost us more than they deserve, and if we're honest, more than we can emotionally afford to give. When being their friends means we begin compromising our own workload or goals to be everything they need us to be for them, we really need to take stock and be brutal in our summations on whether this is a healthy dynamic for us. If we can see them becoming agitated or displaying signs of disinterest if we or another friend have news, whether it be good or bad. Especially if they have better news or worse problems. And it seems to be every single time we or others have something to share. I mean, it's potentially always going to happen sometime. Someone will share something with us and we will resonate with their story and share similarities with them. This is bonding. But when someone habitually does this and takes over the floor, this can be very depressing, as we are human and we all like to be heard. To feel like our friends care about our happiness and troubles as much as we do theirs. We all have shit go on in our lives and we all, without questions, will have bad times here and there. And it's our friends that we hope will be comforting voices of reason and compassion as we try to be for theirs. But when we have one friend forever surrounded in drama, conflict and crisis, forever on that roller coaster of doom and gloom, he never considers to ask how we or anyone else are doing. And in the off chance they do, it's always thrown in as an afterthought for good measure. Their frustration and need for our undivided attention is forever increasing, yet their capacity for give and take decreasing, with them physically or emotionally being unavailable to us if we ourselves need a friend. It seems their problems are always bigger, worse, or more extreme than ours, just as their ambitions are more important and more worthy of support than ours. When we have a friend that is desperate to be center of attention and to constantly hold court, chances are they'll be proficient talkers but deplorable listeners, unless it subject them, in which case their attention span will be outstanding. understanding. These are the very same people that will be like a dog with a bone. If they have a grievance or hurt with someone, they have no time frame for letting go. And how fast they'll pull the rug from under us, telling us it's time to let go if we have a problem. Condescending hypocrisy often plays a hand, typically riddled with low self-esteem and behaviorally begging for reassurance, lacking conscience or self-awareness. Don't for a minute think these kinds of friends will give us much needed validation when our self-esteem takes a plummet. Our happiness, our feel-goods are far from high on their one-sided agenda. They rarely, if ever, count all the times we've been there for them. Put aside our own problems or loads to be a shoulder for theirs, often only to be made feel like they're doing us a bloody favour. When we take time out of our day to do anything for anyone, we must in no way be hoodwinked into that bullshittery, because in no way in us doing a favour for them is them doing a favour for us. Sadly, these kinds with their self-indulgent, controlling ways somehow erase parts of our confidence that leave us feeling that we somehow need them. In spite of the feelings of adulation and relief when some periods of separation have occurred. When we find ourselves feeling more unhappy than happy, or just feeling shit about ourselves after seeing them or interacting with them in some way, we truly have to draw the line in the sand on their toxicity and protect ourselves emotionally. We must refrain from masking how high every time they say jump. One-sided friendships will never be a healthy friendship. We have to stop ourselves from being there at the drop of the hat. We must ask ourselves how many times they've dropped everything and been there for us. Do they champion our accomplishments or goals, or just expect us to cheer for theirs? Nobody's ambitions or goals, no matter whom they are or what they do, are more important than our own. One thing to be supportive and caring, but we cannot keep on shouldering their woes, because we too have woes. And unless it's a reciprocating two-way street, we're going to burn out fast. Sure, we can give our advice, but unless we are trained professionals, we are not qualified or obligated to be their counsellor, especially if we are continually advising them and they continue to do their own thing anyway and wonder why nothing bloody changes. Perhaps it's time we lay it on the line. They don't listen to us anyway. Perhaps it's time they took the bull by the horns themselves and sought counselling. Otherwise, if we continue to carry their burdens ourselves, we will find ourselves in a dark place with nobody to turn to. Often these kinds know what they need to do to make it better, but they lack the conviction themselves and would rather heap the strain on others. We must learn it's okay to say no without feeling remorse or guilt, when they sure as hell would hold none in telling us just that. It's not lacking in sensitivity or empathy to recognize our own limits and self-worth, because those who truly value us would never expect to continually drink from our cup and never pour from their own. Establishing boundaries is a must for our happiness and own peace of mind once we begin feeling depressed due to them. We cannot keep allowing them drain from our reserves. It is not beneficial to our state of mind. Limiting our interactions and keeping ourselves busy with what fills our own cup is imperative to our state of mind. If we cannot surround ourselves with those who love us and appreciate us for whom we are and not what we give, then we must learn to love ourselves enough to put our foot down on our tolerations for others wanting more than we can give. When distancing ourselves is doable, then that's what we should do. No friendship is worth more than our mental health, our happiness. Friendships will come, friendships will go. Letting go of the ones not right for us is beneficial to our own emotional needs. Anyone who leaves us feeling anxious or in a darker place after seeing them, it's time to back away or sever ties. Giving to others is such a good feeling, but when it no longer feels good, it's because something just ain't right for us. It's okay to be giving, but not giving to a fault when the advantageous gives. Fuck all. That is never going to enrich our lives, but be our emotional health's downfall. And so I know you watched all the way till the end. Leave the words, "My happiness matters," in the comments. If you enjoyed this and don't want to miss any of my personal growth, self-development videos, then be sure to like, subscribe, and hit the bell so you don't miss my next one. And if you could give them a share also, it really helps my channel grow. I'm so grateful to those of you who already have. If you want to see more, my playlist is linked below. Thanks for watching. See ya.
Get out of your shell, meet me halfway.